FBI field report. On January 21st, 1953, Rustin was arrested by the police department in Pasadena, California, as a suspected sexual pervert. He was charged with lewd vagrancy and sentenced to 60 days in the county jail.
That was pretty fast news through the pacifist community that Bayard had been arrested in Pasadena. All the other arrests he'd had were on grounds of principle. But this was an arrest where he knew he was wrong. I don't mean morally wrong because it was a sexual encounter. I mean it was stupid to get arrested on the backseat of a car with two guys in a public place, and he knew this.
When I arrived in Montgomery, Dr. King had very limited notions about how nonviolent protests should be carried out. When I first got there, the leadership had Dr. King's home protected day and night by men not only with shotguns, but with pistols.
What do you want?
I'm here to see Dr. King.
Nelson, who is it?
Good evening, Mrs. King. Bayard Rustin.
Bayard Rustin.
Excuse me.
Well, if Bayard Rustin is here, then I guess we've arrived.
Dr. King, I'm going to be blunt. You're straying from the principles of nonviolence.
In what way?
You're the leader of a nonviolent movement, and yet you have guns in your home and these armed guards outside.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Rustin. Would you risk your family for a tactic?
Nonviolence is not a tactic.
Would you risk your family?
Nonviolence is an ideology.
I have an obligation to protect my family and defend my home.
Well, the guns don't make me feel any safer.
Bayard was to him like an older brother. Martin Luther King was 25 years old. And he didn't have the history and the experience that Bayard shared with him. Bayard was somebody that could talk with him on his own intellectual level and help him think through the political and social and moral dilemmas that he was facing.
Powell then made a speech in which he said to the press that there were immoral elements working in the civil rights movement. That message was clear. It was aimed at Bayard as the immoral element, and Bayard knew that they would bring up the arrest record if he didn't get out.
Adam Clayton Powell didn't want blacks picketing the Democratic Convention. In fact, he went so far as to warn King that if King did not withdraw his support from that demonstration, he would go to the press and say there was a sexual affair going on between me and King. Martin was so terrified by this threat that he decided he would get rid of me.
Over me, and before I'd be a slave.
25, 30 years ago, the barometer of human rights in the United States were black people. That is no longer true. The barometer for judging the character of people in regard to human rights is now those who consider themselves gay, homosexual, lesbian.
I grew up in the aftermath of Dr. Martin Luther King. I joined the New York branch of SCLC the year he died. I was 12 years old. I became the youth director of Operation Breadbasket in New York under Reverend Jackson at 13. A few years later, because of some differences in the organization, Reverend Jackson left, and therefore I left, and I decided to form my own youth group in New York. And I went to a man who gave me the money to start a national youth movement named Bayard Rustin. And Bayard
black issues are more important to me in terms of the collective of black people and what happens to us than simply my sexuality. Your talk, your behavior, and your actions are going to be on behalf of the progress of black people.
Meet Cleo Monago, a nationally known behavior, health, and cultural expert, lecturer, author, film producer, and self-identified critical thinker.
My focus is the restoration, health, healing, and mental health restoration in particular of black people.
He's the founder of a number of national organizations, most notably the Amasi Center for Wellness, Education, and Culture, and the Black Men's Exchange, a national group devoted to promoting healthy self and cultural affirmation among same-gender-loving men of African descent.
We need to learn to love ourselves in our own image as same-gender-loving people and be present in the midst of our own community, because when white folks call themselves lesbian and gay, they still love themselves in their own image.
So in efforts to promote self-love, he coined the phrase same-gender-loving.
It's not about me as a reference point. It's about creating an option out there for our community to love itself in its own image and use our own culture and experience and background as our frame of reference.
What turns you on about me?
I'm turned on by brothers who are intelligent, who love themselves, where there's a spark between us. Somebody in good shape, somebody healthy.
Only brothers.
Predominantly, it's my preference.
When in bed, is like they're like a man and then a woman.
Well, people always ask that, but you asked it more explicitly. It's just like the last question. It was quite explicit to what turns me on. Ain't your business. But no, I mean, same gender loving means just that. That we're two men who love each other. We are with each other because we're attracted to men.
Greetings, family. My name is Cleo Monago. I'm the founder of the Black Men's Exchange in New York, Harlem, Los Angeles, and Atlanta. That we're here is a clear sign that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was very serious about inclusion. So I'm here to bring the perspective of a black man who's a same gender loving black man. And these brothers on my side are part of the organization as well. There's many of us out in the audience. That I'm up here indicates that the minister was very serious about us all coming together finally. I too am often called a black nationalist.
So this New Year's a shout out to the giant called Tyler Perry, a spiritual giant, a magnificent human being, and I pray that this year his art greatness will shine even more in healing our people through mass projection of drama through film and plays.
In case you haven't been paying attention, the entire civil rights movement that your ancestors fought, bled, and died for has been totally taken over by Hispanics and homosexuals. Now, when you deal with homosexuality, sometimes we make the mistake of dealing with it through a moral lens. Don't deal with it morally. It's not really a moral issue. Some of us deal with it through the cultural lens. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not principally a cultural issue. Some of us deal with homosexuality through a genetic lens. Okay? You can go there if you want, but there is no proof anywhere on the face of the earth that homosexuality is a natural God-given disorder. Now, let me tell you why homosexuality is here, and this relates to education. Why? Because homosexuality has now made its way into the public schools. Some of your children are reading books that have same-sex marriage couples in it, and you don't even know this because the books don't come home with the child. Okay? Now, in 1974, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger wrote a national security memorandum dealing with population control in the United States. In this population control memorandum, he recommended to President of the United States, who I believe was Richard Nixon at the time, that if you want to control the black population in America, which is growing, I suggest that we openly advocate for homosexual relationships in the black community. It is a population control strategy. It has nothing to do with God, and it has nothing to do with genetics. The reason why you see so much homosexual advocacy is it is a population control measure. And then they put the HIV into the homosexual males, and now they give it to the black woman, so now you exterminate the whole race. The problem with our community is we don't have a socialization process. We wonder why so many males become homosexual, because the homosexuals have a socialization process for your child. We wonder why so many children drop out of high school, because the school district has a socialization process for your child. They can almost predict that they're going to leave in 9th grade because they socialize them that way. The Army has a socialization process for your child. That's why once they enroll, they consider themselves Army men and Marine men until the day that they die. Even when they sleep, they have it in their mind because they're socialized to do that. You do not have a socialization apparatus in place. As a result, your children don't even belong to you. You think they do until they get a certain age and now they belong to somebody else because there's invisible systems at play that you can't see with the naked eye. You can only see it if you put on your political shades. Like people, you got to turn off the TV and start reading a little bit more. And you got to make sure you grab those children and pull them tight and close to you, because right now with what the homosexual movement is doing, it's off the hook. I was at historically black college not too long ago, and I saw 2 cross-dressed brothers walk into the room where I was. Thoroughly cross-dressed, blouses, high heels, fishnet stockings at a historically black college and university. In fact, it's going on at most of the historically black colleges and universities. The homosexual movement has taken over the civil rights movement. But believe it or not, the homosexual movement and the civil rights movement have a little relationship. When we go back to Dr. King and the civil rights movement, we find that his top advisor at the time was an openly professed homosexual male by the name of Bayard Rustin. Y'all know what I'm talking about. In fact, Dr. King was forced to stop working with Bayard Rustin because everybody else on the civil rights movement said that this don't look right, because back then, black people stood for a little bit more. So a black minister had no problem standing up saying that I'm not for homosexuality. You'd be hard-pressed to find one today. And that's why you got to make sure you do not raise your black children to believe that they have a choice as to whether or not they want to be a man or a woman. Tell them it ain't no choices in this house. You got to stand for something, because some of us are confused. The civil rights people got you thinking that you are being a hypocrite of the civil rights movement if you do not stand for diversity in sexual behavior. I got an email the other day. Somebody wanted me to come and speak and facilitate a discussion on sexual diversity. It was gays, lesbians, transgendered, transsexual, metrosexual. Every type of sex was out there. Half of them I never heard of before. Okay? So you got to be careful. You got men out there taking hormones, becoming women. You got women out there taking hormones, becoming men. I know, because in my graduate program, we had a class on diversity. They didn't talk about race. You know what they talked about? Homosexuality and lesbians. They've taken over the whole movement. But anyway, here's the issue with Obama. And this is the one piece that you got to grab your mind around. And I don't know why I keep seeing Barack Obama's face on posters with Dr. King and Malcolm X, and most disrespectfully, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who would probably spit in the man's face. Okay? And that's why people who do art, if we got any artists in here, you got to be a conscious artist. Okay? You got to stop making pictures that are big lies. Okay? Garvey facing Obama, that's a lie. King on the shirt with Obama, that's a lie. Why is it a lie? Because Dr. King was for reparations, read his speeches. Obama is against it. Dr. King is for civil rights and affirmative action. Obama is against it. Not only is Obama against that, he also said that he's not even interested in an apology for slavery. Barack Obama, your president. But guess what? It's our fault. Because everybody who voted for President Obama, we are the only group 40 million strong and shrinking, 40 million strong, who did not meet with the man before you pledged your vote. You got a bad habit of doing that. You want to know why the Hispanics got a Supreme Court justice out of Obama? Because they met with him first. You know why the homosexuals are getting everything that they want? Because they met with him first.